Hey runners, welcome back. I'm your host, RR Slugger, and we have but one final set to examine in our RoboForce Retrospective series, 2154 Robo Master. The Robo Master is a hulking mammoth of a set, clocking in at 362 pieces. That might sound quaint by today's standards, but these are real pieces, not this nonsense. There's a bulk to the Robo Master that none of the other frames can match. The trans neon green pieces indicate which division this mech belongs to, and just like the Robo Raptor, the Robo Master stands with a looming lurch to the torso. Or what could be called a torso. Like picking up an owl, it's kind of legs all the way down. Let's take a look at each section in greater detail. Starting with the bottom and working our way up, the Robo Master relies on 6 pairs of small black space wheels for movement. I'm honestly thankful that this mech uses this system of locomotion, as articulated leg movement with these proportions would just look silly. Atop the feet are a pair of solar panels. Introduced within 1996's Explorians theme, 1997 would actually be the final time we'd see these elements with their awesome reflective stickers. Such a short-lived piece, and one that still had more to offer if you ask me. Beneath these panels hides another notable element. These light gray flared wedge bricks are actually quite the rare piece, having only ever appeared in one other set. Beyond that, we get to the rest of the leg section and the fantastic greebling it showcases. There are several textures and colors on display here that weave together to capture that 90s LEGO aesthetic that I love so much. From there, we come to the arms, which are, attached at the hip, it seems. Awkward proportions appear to be this frame's MO. Even though there's a plethora of sci-fi detailing on each limb, I don't think it distracts from the knowledge that the arms are only a single plate thick. Not only that, but they lack any bend at the elbow, leading them to flap about uselessly. The small rotation at the wrist does not make up for this, in my opinion. Still, it is a pretty creative use for an old style of hinge brick. While I feel that the arms are the weakest aspect of this mech, we now come to something that the Robo Master does better than most LEGO space sets that have come before or since: the cockpit. From within this excellent trans neon green dome, Chip Nebula, who we met earlier in the series, operates the Robo Master. This dome notably includes the Robo Master's sole set-exclusive element, and it's a doozy. These trans neon green corner panel pieces can be found within this set and no other, a fact that has likely already burned a hole into the brain of anyone looking to construct 90s space mocks. Rare and expensive don't always go hand in hand, but here they certainly do, fetching anywhere from $15 to $20 each. That's not Star Wars minifigure levels of pricey, but for a single brick from an obscure 90s space theme, well, plainly stated, it's the single most noteworthy element RoboForce brings to the table. Returning to the set itself, the front of the cockpit is actually on a hinged subassembly that can be lifted away to grant us purchase to the interior. You'd be forgiven for assuming that the exterior was the only thing of note here, but there are several elements within that further elevate this cockpit into true triple slug territory. Firstly, the control sticks are attached to a part that was common within 1986's line of LEGO space sets, and then it disappeared for 11 years, only to emerge one final time for the Robo Master. That's bananas. Behind Chip's back is an awesome supercomputer made up of 4 different printed tiles commonly found within this era of LEGO. This, paired with the antennae on the exterior, really makes the Robo Master feel like a control center for all of RoboForce. The set designers could have very easily just filled this gap with a pair of 1x4 bricks, but they went the extra mile to add this fun detail to an already excellent area of this set. Show me a better cockpit from anywhere within LEGO space. I'm not sure it exists. Having said that, I only wish this cockpit was attached to something, well, to be frank, better. I kind of feel like the rest of the model lets us down in that regard, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, as we're not done yet. The rear section has a tail that can spring up to reveal an auxiliary spacecraft and a second runner. This craft can launch from the Robo Master and patrol the surrounding area, relaying any dangers or natural hazards it encounters. The trans-neon green windscreen found here is quite the rare element, having only appeared one final time the following year. Similarly, this light gray inverted slope piece making up the underside of the craft was introduced here and then given one final send-off within Life on Mars. There are other details littering the craft, such as several trans-neon green grille pieces and various printed elements. Also, I really like the array of thrusters along the back. Overall, for being such a small part of the set, I really think the design of this vessel was executed quite well enough to be featured on the RoboForce t-shirt design at least. I haven't mentioned set modifications at all within this series, but there are a couple here that I thought I'd highlight. Firstly, a simple black inverted slope brick would smooth out this contour on the underside of the Robo Master. Secondly, a pair of trans-neon green panels would help extend the area of the windscreen on the spacecraft to better connect with the rear section. This alteration, however, involves a pair of pieces that are not likely to be found within your collection, unless you're a big fan of insectoids. Or cars, weirdly enough. On the whole, though, I think my issues with the Robo Master can't be fixed with simple band-aids like these. There's a lot to like here, but I don't feel that the sum of the parts is greater than the parts themselves. So let's see if we can do something else with those parts. In taking a look at the box for inspiration, can we stop and appreciate just how cool this box art is? On the cover, we see some sort of planetary highway leading off into a glowing green sunset. Near the corner towers some sort of abstract metallic structure that look like something straight off of a Tubes album cover. When we flip the lid, we can see even more abstract visual design work. This is where select pieces would have been displayed when the set was sealed, adding to a certain prestige no longer found within sets of today. I don't mean to complain too loudly, but seriously, we've lost real set photography, inner boxes, plastic trays, cellophane windows, alternate builds. There's a reason I seek out boxes of yesteryear while throwing modern boxes in the recycling. RoboForce boxes aren't even that remarkable among their contemporaries, and they still contain more artistry than anything on LEGO store shelves these days. Maybe I'm being overly cynical, but it's been sad to watch the slow burn of toy transform into product. Anyways, because we're looking at a LEGO set from a better time today, we do have alternate builds to consider. There are a couple interesting designs on the back, but there's really only one that takes the cake for me. So much so that I actually featured it on a digital album cover for my song From Deep Space. On the inner flap, we can see an open cockpit spacecraft loaded with trans-neon green details aplenty. There's something about this ship that really speaks to me, and even though it uses less than half the pieces included, this is the model I want to showcase today. The front section features adjustable laser weapons, leading me to consider this to be a planetary defense craft. Interstellar travel might be out of the question with its open cockpit design, but there does seem to be a significant storage bay within the midsection, allowing for transportation of equipment or personnel. The rear thrusters have a real utilitarian look to them, with exposed fuel lines and solar panels for charging. Overall, a fitting craft that can easily fall in line with other mainline sets in the series. I know it's called RoboForce, but I think it makes a lot of sense for this organization to have more standard spacefaring vessels as well, and the alternate builds of these sets help fill that role. Ultimately, the Robo Master brings a lot of elements to the table, but do they add up to something great? I guess that's up for you to decide, but I think I personally believe this set is a little too big for its britches. It tries to do a lot with what it has, but comes up short in a few places, leading to a fairly uneven final result, in my opinion. Regardless though, this is the largest RoboForce set, and indeed, it's our last one. I hope you've enjoyed this little retrospective series. It started as a joke, and ended up being a bit more substantial than I anticipated. Every time I do one of these series, I'm left with a new appreciation for the sets within, and this has been no different. Getting to know RoboForce a little better has been a lot of fun, and I hope that's come through in the videos too. If I had to revisit my Slugometer rankings again and actually take it seriously, it might pan out something like this. The Roboraptor and Robostalker would both get 3 slugs. The Roboraider would get 2, and Robo Master would get 1. I do want to emphasize though that the spread is very low in this series. The difference between a 1 and a 3 is much smaller than in the series I've ranked before. Still, all scores are relative to their own theme, so let's go with these scores, until I change my mind in a month or so. Thanks for watching, everyone. I've been your host, RR Slugger, and remember, it's the runner, not the... You know what? Hang on. I've been saying that line throughout this whole series, but what does it really mean? I'm about to go off on a tangent here, so be forewarned. We're done talking about LEGO at this point, so if you want to hop off, this is the penultimate stop. From here on out, I want to talk about one of my all-time favorites, Zone of the Enders 2, The Second Runner. I'm not going to spoil the whole game here, at least not as much as its own opening cinematic already does, but I am going to talk about the sequence of events that leads to my favorite boss battle in video gaming. If you don't want to hear about what happens in this 22-year-old game, then this is the last stop. Anyone still with me? Here we go. Zoe 2 tells the story of Dingo Egret, a man who found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time when he accidentally discovered a hidden orbital frame on Callisto. This orbital frame is called Jehuti, a cutting-edge mech, highly sought after by our story's antagonist, Colonel Noman. I love these two, the true matchup of an immovable object and an unstoppable force. Anyways, the long and short of it is, Noman is mad with power and intent on destroying all of Mars. Armed with his own wickedly powerful orbital frame, Anubis, Noman just might have the means to pull it off, unless we have something to say about it. Problem is, Jehuti is simply no match for Anubis. The first time you fight him, you barely put a scratch in before Noman takes you out, literally. The next time you face off, it's around the midpoint of the game. You've gained a number of powers since then, but he's still too tough to beat. The fight ends after you've only managed to carve off a sliver of his health. Only after you acquire the Zero Shift ability and upgrade Jehuti's frame are you ready to take him on. The game does a wonderful job of illustrating this by allowing you to mow through all of the lesser enemies that previously would have caused you concern, as if they were paper. You feel the power you now wield. So it comes to this, Jehuti versus Anubis, except now you finally have the upgrades needed to beat him. The showdown commences, and it's suddenly revealed that this is not the real Anubis, and Noman has been toying with you yet again. As a result of this charade, he jeopardizes your comrades by catapulting them into compressed space, with Jehuti forced to follow. Except passing into compressed space has left you severely damaged, far weaker than you've been at any point throughout the game. And it's here that the game now demands you defeat Anubis, for real this time. With almost no tools at your disposal, you have to beat his near-perfect machine with your decrepit frame. And you sluggin' do it. Little by little, you chip away at his health bar, while dodging his far more powerful blows to the best of your ability. This is my favorite boss battle in gaming. There's actually another one that follows this, because every final boss needs a second phase, but this is the one that the narrative was building towards. In the end, his clearly superior frame is no match for your abilities as a runner. After all, it's the runner, not the frame, that makes the difference. And somehow that relates to RoboForce. The series started as a joke, and it ends with a joke too. Thanks for watching.